Last night we pulled in here and camped in this old gravel pit. It was somewhere after dark. I think we got to bed about 9 or something. And so we're gonna go check the hot springs out here this morning. There's an old shack of some kind there and an old truck. There's nothing but Nevada Desert out beyond us. Looks like a bunch of people at the hot springs here this morning. There's a big pool here. It's not nearly as hot as the two smaller ones, but there's a couple of people in the smaller ones this morning, so I can't really take a picture. There's a little old house, and I guess someplace here that someone ran a bed and breakfast till recent years. Some say that the military even used this place for rest and relaxation for a while, but it didn't work out, so they moved out. On the walls wasn't suited for family viewing, so I blocked it out. So after checking things out here around the hot springs, we elected not to use the hot springs at this time and head on out to the Mojave Desert. It was a great day for traveling, except the wind was blowing like crazy, but it was still very nice, and we didn't notice the wind that much, being in the tightly enclosed cab of our pickup. The scenery was stunning as we wind our way up through some desert mountains, and then we'll drop down in some valleys. A very, very nice trip through, and we enjoyed the scenery. We enjoy these small roads that wind through the high mountains, and then we can look over at the Sierras with a few little glaciers lingering on top. The beautiful colors of fall are starting to show themselves as we wind up higher and higher on these desert mountains. The paved road we're on comes to an end for us, and then we have some switchbacks that look like a piece of ribbon coiled down as we maneuver one hairpin turn after another on our way to the valley below. We cross through one little valley at a time here, and then up the other side. The switchbacks are something you need to have some patience with and take real careful and easy. But wow, what a sight. This road isn't to be taken in just any vehicle. You need a good high clearance vehicle that's in darn good shape, or else you could be asking for a whole lot of trouble. Pine forest, and looks like there was kind of a bumper crop of pinyon pine nuts. Those are really super good eating. I really like them. Here's a great big super edible nut after you shell it out. The pinyon pine grow at a kind of a high altitude, and these pinyon nuts were very, very important for the prehistoric native tribes that lived here. They'd make pilgrimage up here and take all members of the family, and they'd pick scads of these nuts and take them down, and they'd make a bread out of them by grinding them, and sometimes they'd trade them. There was always someone would want to trade something for them, so they were very, very important. There's a variety of different pine trees, each of them having its own altitude where it likes to grow, but these are kind of a high altitude plant and grow up fairly high. They almost grow up to where the bristlecone
The pinions share their growing space with the juniper, and the juniper trees are really loaded with berries this year. This tree has a lot of really nice pine cones on it.
I'll take them.
The pinyon trees have lots of nuts on them this year, as well as the juniper. The birds will be happy about lots of juniper berries for them to eat. We dropped down a few 100 feet into the desert floor, and here we find the wild burros just eating anything they can find. When we reach the desert floor, we set up camp, and
Stubby?
here we meet Stubby.
You're not much of a bird, are you?
He's
When are you going to grow your tail feathers back?
Stubby is a grackle who's lost his tail feathers due to molting, and we see the feathers on his head are kind of sparse, as well as the rest of the body. So he's got to grow new feathers, but he seems to be able to fly well, and he's very aggressive. He thinks he's really something. Uh-oh. Then we look over on the hill beyond, and here's a Roadrunner. This is about the third time in my life only that I've ever seen a Roadrunner, and they're very aggressive. Beauty of a bird, and they're pretty tough. They don't take any nonsense off any other bird or animal, and they can fly well. He could fly real good. When he took off, he looked like a pheasant in the air. The Roadrunners can eat most anything, specializing on snakes and lizards of the desert.
He's a grackle without a tail. He's molten now. His feathers around his neck aren't in yet, and his tail feathers are just starting to form. But he sure thinks he's hungry, and he thinks he's a real good bird.
Being a member of the same family as crows, magpies,
His name is Stubby.
and ravens and jays, he is a very aggressive
pretty
bird
good
that
bird.
can eat
He's
most
not
anything.
doing too
But
much
the
to the
smaller
smaller
seed
birds.
eaters in this valley probably are going to have trouble surviving. Usually they starve to death because there just isn't enough for them to eat here. The Roadrunner doesn't have that problem because he can eat most anything. Even if he catches a bird, he can eat it. We see a shadow coming out from in the shade, and here he is, a Roadrunner up close and personal. Stubby is eating a little bit of stuff just to keep the other birds from getting it. The Roadrunner is named appropriately. They sure know how to run, and they're quick as lightning. Whenever something threatens him, he can let him have it with that big heavy beak, too. Since he's moved in here, we haven't seen a lizard, nor a snake. He's probably made food out of all them, and he's a very efficient hunter. He can find them, catch them, and eat them. Really good. But probably he won't get them all. There will surely be some that survive that big beak and those very efficient big eyes. Even his camouflage is perfect for in these bushes where he is. You can hardly see him, and he isn't lazy either. He's always on the go, looking every place to see what he can find, and it doesn't matter what he can find. If it's edible, he can eat it.
So now we have an alien.
Oh, yeah, it sure is. Well, that's really nice, yeah. Yeah, he looks like he's ready to go off into outer space.
We checked our calendar and found it was Halloween, so we have to have some jack-o'-lantern. What's Halloween without a jack-o'-lantern? Kurt is the go-to guy when it comes to carving pumpkins, and since it's Halloween, we had to go to him and get our pumpkin carved nice. He just does the best job of anyone I've ever seen carving pumpkins. It's very artistic, and it only takes him a few minutes to carve a nice little pumpkin. The Roadrunner stands by. I don't know what he's going to wear for Halloween, but I'm sure that he'll be accepted well, no matter what he uses, and I'll bet he'll be the fastest one there. Some tell me that he not only eats lizards and snakes or anything else he can find, that sometimes he'll eat mice and small birds. I don't know whether these blackbirds are considered small or not, but they are making sure that he doesn't get too close. That big long beak looks like it would be pretty efficient for eating a blackbird that's trying to get into something he wants to eat. It might even be accurate to say that Roadrunner is a bit of a bully, and not just an ordinary bully. He's pretty darn mean. Roadrunners typically nest in trees, and they're non-migratory. They stay in their breeding habitat the entire year. Roadrunners eat insects, lizards, snakes, small animals, and small birds. Just most anything they can catch would go for food. And they eat nuts and seeds and fruit. A single roadrunner may occupy a territory as much as 250 acres. They patrol it regularly, and move all around on it, getting everything they want to eat. And it looks to me like they rule the territory. A roadrunner can typically live to be 7 to 8 years old in the wild, where they have some predators and other problems, but in captivity they can live to be about 12 years old. A roadrunner can have 4 to 7 babies in a brood, and sometimes 2 broods per year, so they're a pretty productive bird. One of a roadrunner's enemy is a coyote. So what you used to see on television is more or less true. The roadrunners are eaten by coyotes, and hawks and other things eat them too. So I guess they have to be pretty tough. There was a raven came by, and all the rest of the little birds left, but he and the roadrunner, and they were facing off at each other. The roadrunner had his neck out, was staring right at the raven at about 5 foot away, and the raven was staring right at the roadrunner, but nothing ever happened because something came by and scared both the raven and the roadrunner. So I never got to see how that drama played out, and probably that's a sight that you wouldn't get to see very frequently. One lesson I learned about roadrunners while we were here is they don't take any guff off anything, and they're pretty darn tough. Ravens are a pretty nice, gentle bird, and they're a very, very intelligent bird, so I don't really think that he would deliberately harm a roadrunner, although he's considerably bigger than most roadrunners. There's the roadrunner squaring off at the raven, getting ready to do something to him, but then something came and scared them both away. There's the raven sitting in the tree, getting ready to attack.